Infinity Blade was a mobile game that came out in 2010, and I'm sure you've heard of it. It was a major hit on the App Store, grossing over $200 million by the end of 2011, which is a big deal when you think about the fact that this was 2010 and it was a mobile game. Infinity Blade had 2 sequels, and all of the games were pulled off the App Store in 2018, which was kind of a really big bummer because can you imagine what those games would look like now? Like 2024? I don't know, crazy. Infinity Blade kind of remains in the gaming space now because it actually shares the developer with a really popular game, Fortnite. That's right, Epic Games made Infinity Blade, and obviously they made Fortnite. You could get the Infinity Blade as like a playable weapon in Fortnite in Season 7, which kind of like kept people talking about it, but it wasn't like this huge deal where like Infinity Blade was coming back. It was just kind of a cool thing that Epic Games decided to do. In Infinity Blade, you are a nameless character, or at least you start off nameless in the first game, and you are traveling through a castle trying to face this like immortal king who you think is kind of like oppressing the land. You're not really cool with him at all. You take on a lot of 1v1 battles with like monsters and like robots and a bunch of different little things that stand in your way to getting to this, you know, God King that you need to kill. In fact, when you start the game, you take on the Dark Knight, not Batman, but it's not the only case of like questionable usage of like other established pop culture like names, and you take on the God King. You kind of are meant to die. It sets up the whole story. Basically, it's a roguelike, and you and your bloodline consistently face the God King over and over again to eventually kill him. You keep all of your levels, all the weapons and stuff you buy because, you know, I guess that was your dad's, so you get to keep it. You know, it was a mobile game, so you had touchscreen controls, which was really cool. You had buttons on the right and left side of the screen to like dodge. You had your block ability. You swiped to fight, and it was really reactive, like you parry and stuff like that. In the PC port, which, you know, I've played, it's really hard to play because you use your mouse, and it gets a little crazy, but it's playable. But it gets a little I don't know. You can upgrade all kinds of things like your health, the amount of shield you have, how much damage you deal, how much magic attack you have, and any other special effects that come like poison, bleed, a bunch of different things like that. You can kind of do it all in this mobile game that was released in 2010, which is kind of impressive. Not kind of impressive. It's really impressive. Very expansive. Something that like I'm sure a lot of us didn't realize we had when we were kids playing this on our, you know, iPads. We didn't realize that we were playing like a really honestly well-made game, which I was like 9 years old playing that game, which could have been like super inappropriate. I don't really know, but at 9 years old, I never appreciated it for what it was. And when I came back to play it, you know, at 22, it stood up. It stood up to the, you know, test of time. It was fantastic. I want to really nail down on the fact that this is an incredibly impressive game for a mobile device, and the development story itself is honestly something to admire. A team of 12 developers had the demo ready in 2 months, and then it only took another 3 months to have the full game ready for release. It was the first iOS game made in the Unreal Engine, which is really topical now because Epic Games just like pretty recently integrated Unreal Engine into their Fortnite creative, which is crazy. And we see a lot of games now being built in the Unreal Engine. So the fact that this happened all the way back in 2010 with Epic Games is kind of impressive, I think. I think it just shows kind of the longevity that comes with like building video games and the video game industry in general. For it being such an impressive game and impressive developmental feat, it really was the simplicity that kind of shot it forward. It was easy. It was relatively cheap on the App Store for what it was, and you did the same thing over and over again. I know that sounds like, duh, it's a roguelike, but like truly, in the palm of your hands, you are just swiping. It was honestly a great time waster. You got to grind up to, if you wanted to buy super expensive weapons, you could just play with the regular ones, keep going until you unlock the Infinity Blade. It had some cool kind of hidden content that like wasn't explicitly stated that it was there, but if you could put, you know, 2 and 2 together, you would find the 3 like deathless knights and fight them, and then fight the extra boss. There was just a lot more to it, all cased in this very simple narrative and simple gameplay style. I think what's really impressive too is while the story did end up getting bigger with the other games, in this first game, it's really not clogged down with story. It doesn't kind of push you through cutscenes and all this other stuff. I mean, there are those, but it's not like overwhelming or kind of holding your hand throughout the gameplay. You really just get to get on and play, which makes the roguelike mechanics and this kind of storytelling kind of a perfect match because it just lets you replay it over and over again without you feeling like I've beat the story, I'm done now, until you unlock the Infinity Blade and kill the Deathless Knights. And even then, you can restart and you can do more and unlock even the cooler weapons. I beat the game with the Infinity Blade, which is nowhere near the most expensive weapon in the game, and I didn't max out anything else. I could pick the port up today and have a lot to play through because I want to unlock everything. So it's kind of perfect for mobile. That being said, I've thought a lot about if this game would do well on console or on PC because it is such a unique story and it's so well made. Plus, the developers are Epic Games. I mean, one of the biggest names in the video game industry right now. I think the question we have to ask is, would it actually translate? Like I said, it being on mobile and having a very bare bones story and the roguelike elements make it a perfect time waster to have in the palm of your hand. The mobile controls lend to an immersive experience, and if you gave that up for console or computer, I'm not sure that gamers would have the same experiences they had back in 2010. I mean, think of the expectations we have for games right now. If they're not well written, if they aren't beautiful, if they don't have impeccable mechanics, no bugs, perfectly balanced, yada yada yada, we get upset with them. I mean, I'm one of those people. I just played Assassin's Creed 1 on stream and I was getting upset that it was really annoying and old, and it released in 2007, and I literally knew that in my head and I was still being a baby about it. So that being said, if it was one-to-one remastered put on console PC, I don't think people would receive it well, which kind of just lends to the fact that the mobile element of this game is crucial. The main reason the game couldn't make it past 2018 on the App Store was that there were conflicts updating it to a newer firmware. That shouldn't be a problem now, especially if Epic Games wants to bankroll the project. Even if it was back on mobile and they had to build it from the ground up, I still think they would see or turn on their investment. It's that good and that popular of a series. And if the problem was they didn't want to commit to making 3 games, put them all in one. The new iPad is supposed to be able to run Assassin's Creed Shadows, something that's not even coming to last gen consoles. I don't think it's a problem to say, hey, this is an iPad only mobile game, because it's that big and it can handle that. I find it really hard to say that like these beloved games that I really love and miss shouldn't be like remastered, rebooted, and brought through like all new rounds of development, but maybe it's for the best. The industry's kind of going through it right now anyway, so maybe we should just stick with our ports and try to have fun with that. If you want to play the port, you can just Google Infinity Blade Reddit. You know, you'll be able to find it really easily. I might put it in the description. I don't know if there's like rules against that. I will look. I mean, that being said, if there was more content for Infinity Blade, I would not be mad. I don't know. I'll be the first one to be playing it. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, comment. You know, if you played these games, would you want to see them? Do you think they should go on console? Should they stay on mobile? I don't know. I want to hear your opinion. That being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!